Hey everyone, Magic Sword here, and today we are starting the neutrals, and I looked at them, and I think we might be able to do them all together. We'll see. We'll cut it up if we have to, but let's start out with Stockades Guard, 1 mana, 1/3, with the ability to give a friendly minion taunt on Battlecry. That's pretty good, right? All of your big guys, I mean, all of your quest rewards, right? Your 5 mana 7/7s. Well, they don't have an immediate board impact most of the time. Well, now they might if you give them taunt, right? So I think that this could definitely see a place in the meta, especially with Battlecry Shaman, just another like cheap Battlecry procer, right? I don't know. It's really interesting. It's such a cheap effect, like giving a guy taunt. Usually you don't think about that, but suddenly maybe something like Package Runner is better because it's guaranteed. It's overstated, and it's like, oh, it can't attack, but it has taunt, so it doesn't matter, right? So there are a lot of just those are just a couple examples. There are a lot of things like that where a card just benefits greatly from getting taunt, and being able to just for anyone to do that for 1 mana is pretty powerful, I think. Next up, we have Deeprun Engineer, which is a 2 mana 1/2. Battlecry, discover a mech. It costs one less. Sure. I mean, like, mechs aren't a big deal. Usually, when you're discovering mechs, it's because you're running a mech deck. I mean, this exists. This would be cool in, like, Arena, but it's kind of a nothing card because there's not really much mech synergy going on. Florist. Florist I thought was really interesting. So obviously I thought of Shaman immediately. I was actually thinking about putting it into the Shaman card review. But also Druid, but also Rogue. I totally forgot that Rogue poisons are, and I guess then technically Warrior because of Nitro Boost Poison, right? But poisons are nature cards, right? So 2 mana 2/3 at the end of your turn, reduce the cost of a nature spell in your hand. Just realized I didn't say it out loud. Um, I think this is most applicable to Shaman. I just don't know how much you care about basically what amounts to like most of the time just a 1 mana discount or something like most Shaman nature spells are pretty cheap. Most Druid nature spells are pretty cheap. You might be able to cheat out a valuable play like more early, I guess, like a bit earlier with it. I in the current state of Druid, I just don't think it sees play unless we do see that minion based deck that people are hyped for. Um, myself. I'm hyped for it. Shaman. Shaman might want it actually, because this in conjunction with like all your spells casting twice could be very powerful. I don't know. I think it might just make it into some of those decks, but I'm not super hopeful. It's a fine effect. I think Rogue doesn't want it, by the way. The poisons, like it's a pretty limited thing. But Shaman, for example, runs and actively tutors its nature cards, so I think it's most likely to be in Shaman or Druid. But even then, those both have such strong class cards. It's hard to imagine this fighting for viability in there. Let's play a game called Where's the next new card? Stockades Prisoner. There it is. 2 mana 5/4 stays dormant or starts dormant after you play 3 cards. This awakens. That's really interesting, right? So pretty much at the earliest, although not necessarily. This is waking up to be ready to fight on turn 4. Because when something comes out of being dormant, it has summoning sickness, right? So I was gonna say it's asleep, but that's poor phrasing in this particular case. So um, I think somebody with lightning bloom or otherwise has like a couple of coin like little 0 mana spells and minions wouldn't be able to awaken this on 2 to be ready on 3. I just don't think this is enough, right? It's think about we have Felmaw and we have the 3/5 demon with rush, the Vile Fiend, right? Those are our 2 mana dormant cards. And we have Ganarg, which is a 1 mana dormant card, right? Those all have immediate board impacts. Same with the Imprisoned Anton, same with Imprisoned Observer, right? They all have immediate board impacts. Now, of course, you don't control when they up. They just kind of do it after 2 turns. But this, like, yeah, you can high roll, you can Lightning Bloom and play 2/1 drops, and it's awake by turn 3. But you're also kind of skipping turn 3. Or you could play it on 2 and then play 3/1 drops on 3, and then it's awake by 4. Those are like best case scenarios for most people. Or like it's late game and you're playing this and then 3 other cards. It's like, well, you're running this in either a value driven deck, in which case you're probably not playing all 3 cards, or an aggro deck, in which case you don't have other cards to play because it's the late game. You probably already lost, right? There basically isn't a scenario where this is good. Like I don't even think this is good in Arena. I think this is not to say it's a filler card. I think there's potentially interesting stuff going on here, but it's just no, it's not going to see play. I really don't think so. There's kind of like no way in my mind it sees play. Enthusiastic Banker. It's in a similar situation where it's very interesting. I think it's more interesting, but also probably not that good. So at the end of your turn, so it's a 3-mana 2/3, so it's already kind of but as a death rattle, so it's okay that it's understated. At the end of your turn, you store a card from your deck, and then when it dies, you add the stored cards to your hand. So it's like delayed card draw with the chance that this gets silenced or removed from the field other than by being killed, right? I mean, like, why not just run Loot Hoarder? There's, of course, the potential that you get multiple stored cards, that this lives a turn and you store a second, but that's not going to happen. And it's at the end of your turn, so you can't choose to trade. You have no agency in using this, right? Like I think I've said this in the past. I always feel like I need to justify why a card is bad more than I need to justify why it's good. But I mean to put it as concisely as possible, delayed card draw compared to something like a Loot Hoarder is just bad. You have no agency over when you draw those cards because if you want extra cards, it has to be on your opponent's turn, right? So, it's just I don't think it's here. I'm sure there's something really dumb with this that I'm missing, but yeah, I don't know. I just really have no faith in this card. Entrapped Sorceress, however, 3-mana 3/4 battle cry. If you control a quest, discover a spell. So our quest synergy cards, those are always good. Think about any quest that has to do with casting spells, mage, hunter, shaman, right? Well, I guess shaman is overload cards, but a lot of them are spells. So probably sees play in a lot of quest decks, even priest. Honestly, you might be able to discover a curve spell, right? It can definitely be used in most quest decks. I think it only sees play. I mean, literally, it can be used in any of them, but it only sees play in ones where you can discover a card that progresses the quest, and the more likely you are to do that, the more likely you are to actually run this, right? So I think Hunter actually likes this a lot, as well as Mage, and then like next step down is Shaman, next step down is Priest, right? So there's kind of like a hierarchy here. I sense a tier list coming. It's an Entrapped Sorceress synergy tier list. um, but no, I quite like this. I think this is very good. It's a good quest synergy, just like the questing adventurer that we had in Old Doom, right? So I think that's going to be pretty good. All right, and we're gonna leave it on that note with Entrapped Sorceress. The latter half of the neutral cards should come out today, later today, not tomorrow. And then we'll have one final tier list right before it's gonna be the last pre-release material. It's gonna be right before actual release. I'm gonna put a big disclaimer that's like this isn't a crafting guide. I haven't played with these cards yet, so hopefully nobody gets mad. But yeah, that is what we're working with. It's hard to believe we got through it all in this time. We had some pretty limited time, 2, sometimes 3 uploads. It's a lot, working on all this at once. It's fun. I really like it. So it's good to be back on this stuff. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Like this if you like the video. Tell me down below if I'm underestimating those kind of wonky cards like the Prisoner and the Banker, right? I want to see what combos you're thinking about with Banker here. And I will see you guys in the next one.